to talk Michigan football on this December the 16th. Oh, everybody's in the holiday spirit now with Christmas right around the corner. And here's our man with good cheer, Jim Scarcelli, the former Wolverine, on the line, on your screen, ready to talk about Michigan. Scar, what's going on?
Yeah, Denny, hearing some good things, man. I'm hearing some good things. You know, I want that defense loaded up, reloaded. I'm hearing that big Derek Moore is coming back. I was worried about him. I think he's a, possibly third-round pick. He was outstanding against the Buckeyes. I know people wanted TJ Guy. That's no guarantee these guys are coming back. Other people wanted him. I know that. I had heard that. So we got him back. Yeah. We got our two linebackers back. It looks like Barham and Hausman. I mean, those are your four perimeter inside guys. And then we'll get into some, but I wanted them guys back. That's great news.
Yeah, I guess I missed the news on Barham and Hausman. That's good. Do you think they'll take Barham and play the same spot that he was? Because there's a lot of talk that he would be an edge. But of course, Guy and Moore, those guys are edges.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to put TJ Guy on the bench, listen, sometimes you make those decisions, you move guys around. I played with a guy, Jeff Akers, he played inside, then he played out. You want to get your best 11 players on the field, but, some of those decisions will depend on if they have a bunch of good inside linebackers that they have faith in, maybe they will move him out but Wink does some things, he'll move guys, he'll have his inside backers play on the edge at times, and it's part of what he does, and he has his reasons. But I think foundationally, we start the season going into Oklahoma with those four guys, and two inside, two outside guys.
We got the news a while back that Dominic Zavada was coming back. The news today that Adam Samaha, the kicker out of Huron, has entered the transfer portal. Probably not a surprise when you think about it, with Zavada coming back and Samaha ready to kick.
No, it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. He might have an opportunity. Go down to Western, Eastern Michigan, Oklahoma State. Somebody might want you. But yeah, Denny, there's a lot to talk about with transfers and guys coming in, guys coming out, Scar's wish list. And, we'll get into that. I don't know where you are on your agenda.
Well, that's it. Let's start about it. My agenda is talking about the biggest news, and that would be the quarterback position. Miller Moss's name was linked to Michigan for a long time, the quarterback from USC. He looks like he's headed to USC. And then late last week or mid last week, Billy Edwards Jr. got into the transfer portal, the quarterback from Maryland, and he looked like a perfect fit for Michigan. He a dual threat QB, and Michigan wanted him. He went up to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin locked the door, and it don't look like they're letting him out. So the news about Edwards, which looked so promising to Michigan late last week, is now on the other side looking like that is over.
He's a guy that I'm big on. He is exactly what I wanted. Exactly. He's an accurate passer. He's tough. He's mobile. We could go to Oklahoma with him next year and win. So that was a guy I wanted. Now he's going to, I saw Wisconsin's got another kid committed too, another quarterback transfer kid committed. This kid would rather go and compete with that kid than come to Michigan and have to compete with a freshman or I don't know, maybe Davis Warren is scared of off. I don't know. But I was discouraged when I heard that, because that is exactly what I want. Quarterback is number one on my wish list for portal. We need a stud. The Washington State kid went in the portal. Okay. He's a damn good quarterback. But guess what? Oklahoma just hired Washington State's offensive coordinator. So that tells you he's probably going to be going to Oklahoma. I didn't want to face that kid. I was hoping we would be in the market to get that kid, but I still have quarterback number one on my list. Denny, defensive tackle is huge on my list. Now that we've got our edge guys and our inside guys coming back, defensive tackle is the number two thing on my list. I want the kid from Kentucky. I heard we're in on him. He's a big, good player. He's a Kenny Grant type of kid. So defensive tackle, and then running back is number three on my list. And everybody wants the kid from Alabama. He's a good player. We're going to look at some film of that kid. He's a stud. Anyway, Denny, also, listen, we heard about the Jordan White kid. He's a center. He's a center type kid. Now, I'm wondering if Crippen's going to be done. I don't know if, I would have assumed Crippen would come back for a 5th year. I just wonder what they're thinking. There's 2 good safeties at Arkansas that we're in on.
Yep.
I really like our tight end room, Denny, but they're looking at the kid from Purdue. Everybody wants this kid from Purdue. So he's a good player. And I talked about the Alabama running back, and we've already got the Indiana receiver. Then as soon as I saw Miller Moss's name in there, where I figured he was going to go? That would be our biggest. Denny, Miller Moss is a Jeff Brom kind of quarterback. Jeff Brom was a hell of a college quarterback. He played in the NFL at quarterback. He's got quarterbacks playing in the NFL. It's tough to out recruit that guy if all things are even with the money. I knew he was going to be tough to beat out for Miller Moss. He's like the perfect Jeff Brom kind of quarterback.
Yeah, and the one thing that's not perfect here, with all things being equal, is the Bryce Underwood. And it's not just that he's a 5-star and that he's the local kid right down the street, but it's also, there have been a lot of, I call them reports of, the 8 figures that they've given him. If you're another quarterback and you're looking at everybody saying, look, it's only going to be a matter of time, whether it's 3 or 4 games, that's all you're coming here for. So Sharon Moore could say, look, you can come in and compete. But they're also, anybody that's advising these guys are saying, yeah, the Underwood's taken over at some point.
Well, so, I don't know. You got to make that decision. Are you going to be afraid of a freshman? I don't know. He's got a lot to learn, man. I know he's highly recruited, but you want to go recruit. You want to go compete against that proven kid that Wisconsin's taken a proven transfer to. Either way, you're going to have to compete against somebody.
Right.
If he's afraid of a 18-year-old kid that's never played, I get it. He's a highly recruited kid. But then he also, let me just finish this up on the transfers. I looked at the guys that we lost. We didn't lose anybody that's going to help us beat Oregon and Ohio State. Cole Cabana, good luck at Minnesota. And the Pollard kid. Those guys are good players, man. Nothing against them. Bounds is, I don't know where he's going.
John,
in Alex Orji's leaving, but Denny, again, the perfect world is a proven legitimate starter, 2-3 guy that started 20 some games, and then Underwood will resume. He'll assume the role of the JJ Orji package. That's what I think will happen. They will put Underwood in the game, and when he's in the game, it'll be 50% run, kind of the stuff they did with JJ. That's what I envision. But again, he will throw it more, I think, than Orji would. So I think you're going to see that package next year if he's not the starter. So that's why losing Orji doesn't hurt us at all, because I think you'll accomplish the same thing in terms of having a little run package. I know you're not big on it, but we did have some big runs out of that kid this year in big games that kept drives alive.
Yeah, I think out of all the guys, Gentry was one that I would have liked to have kept around, Andrew Gentry, but if that might say more about the tackles. I know, Sprague's name gets thrown around a lot by, not just by players and the media, but Sharon Moore. I mean, he's mentioned him every time. He seems like he's the left tackle of the future. And we know that Link came on and played. So if you're Sprague, maybe you feel like you're just looking at the depth chart, you can go start somewhere else.
Well, I don't know if Gentry was if they envisioned him as the starter. I'm not sure what was their thinking, but they let him go, Danny. They let him go. Okay, if they wanted him, they would have anteed up, and they would have had that sit down and said, "We think you're the guy at left tackle." And that conversation that didn't happen. That communication didn't happen. There was probably Gentry talked to Sharon Moore. He talked to Big Grant, and there was doubt that you're going to have to compete, and maybe he didn't want to hear that, but they have plans at that position. I guarantee you that, for them to let him go. But let me also say this, Danny. There's a couple of schools that I'm looking at. They are just getting picked apart. They are just getting picked apart like the vultures are picking them up. Arkansas, See, what happens, Denny, is if a coach, if there's any kind of rumor, the media puts these hot seat names out there, right? This guy's on the hot seat. Pittman over at Arkansas. So Stoops over at Kentucky. Soon as they start smelling hot seat, or maybe they don't have the money, but I'm seeing a lot of guys getting picked out of Arkansas. I'm seeing a lot of guys getting picked out of Purdue. I'm seeing guys getting picked out of Kentucky too. So maybe Kentucky doesn't have the money, because I heard Stoops complaining about that.
That's right.
But anyway, it's just something of note that these guys, these college coaches are smelling it. They smell blood. They're going to try to pick your guys, man, and that's what's going on.
Antoine was mentioning you talked about the defensive tackle. He says Keyshawn Silver. He's naming the defensive tackle.
Yeah. Listen, Denny. Here's the deal. You always look at your roster, and Kenny Grant and Mason Graham were good. I'm just going to keep it real with you. I don't think there's a huge drop off like with some of our edge position. Or I think Brandt's going to be a real good player next year.
Yeah.
I just think there's a big. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Okay, I'm hoping I'm wrong about Pierce and Etta, and that those guys are going to really blossom this spring, because I think they're all coming back. But I'm hoping I'm wrong about some of those defensive linemen. But I saw a drop off whereas when Mason Graham and Kenny Grant went in the game when they were young guys, you didn't see a huge drop off. With Mozzie Smith and Hinton and those other guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just felt I saw a drop off. So hopefully these guys will have great winter conditioning and great spring ball, and and that'll happen. But yeah, I'm D-line, inside D-line is because I think we have a whole hell of a lot of good offensive linemen and tight ends, and inside D-line is the big thing for me, other than quarterback.
Yeah, well, let me go back to the quarterback for just one more second. And then if you're someone who hasn't paid attention, that Michigan, the Miller Moss to Louisville, looks like Billy Edwards Jr., Wisconsin. So the ship looks like it's sailed there. So they'll have another 5-10 quarterbacks on there that they're looking at. But what if they had to go with heading into the spring with Bryce Underwood, Davis Warren, and Jadyn Davis? Jadyn Davis has not gone into the transfer portal yet. We don't know how he feels about coming in, that if he feels like he could be the guy for the first 3 or 4. Would you like that position if you were without knowing about Jadyn Davis? A lot of people are like, well, he was pretty highly thought of recruiting wise, but there's been a lot of different things that people have said about him. But he's only a true freshman.
Yeah, Danny, there's only so many reps when you've got your back. I've been in that position as a coach. You want to develop your backup guys. Okay, well, who do you give the backup reps to early on? Who are you gonna have your little JJ package with to get reps? And it'll be interesting to see what they do. But let's say this: Davis Warren, he improved a lot. If we were to go into the season with those 3 guys, I mean, I still like a guy that can run. I wish Davis Warren ran a little better, but he only really had one terrible mistake in that Ohio State game, was that the interception to the big. The other one I thought was anyway. That's the kid improved, okay. But is it an ideal situation for me? I still want a guy that can run. So anyway, that's where I am on that.
Okay. Yeah, well, so there we are. That's good. The transfer portal, keeping an eye on it. I know might be some panic, from Michigan fans. I think it's a combination. I think there's Lion fans who have the Blues today and so if you're a Lions fan and a Michigan fan, you're like, well, let me look at how Michigan's doing. And you're not seeing the name. So I think there's a little combination of the Michigan and Lions Blues on this Monday. But, they both could be.
You saw it last night, man. I mean, we've got a good quarterback. It's just the ability to run, though, Danny. It matters. It matters defending. Josh Allen can move, and he's an accurate passer, big, strong kid. We got a big, accurate passer, but that ability to run. Anyway, Denny, I just got some other quick thoughts about stuff going on out there. Bill Belichick. You know what I like about Bill Belichick? I respect him.
I know what you like about Bill Belichick.
You know what I like about him here, though? He don't give a damn, Denny. The guy don't give a damn about a lot of things out there. He's not waiting on pro football. He don't care about his legacy. He's like, you know what? I like coaching football. If this job opens up, he's got this young girlfriend. The guy don't give a damn. He's like, I'm going to go out here and live my life, and I'm going to coach this college team. If these NFL guys don't want to give me a job, I just want to throw that out. I respect him. I read every damn book he ever wrote. He's a brilliant coach, and he don't give a damn. So that's that on that.
Yeah, I would disagree with you. I think he does care deeply about his legacy. If you've ever heard him talk about the history of the NFL, that I don't know if it's the number one thing that's driving him because of topping Don Shula on the all-time wins list, but it wouldn't surprise me if he has a decent year next year or the following year, that if he goes back and tries to get that. I think ultimately, if you asked him to put some kind of wish list or goal list over the next 2 to 5 years, part of that would be going back to the NFL and surpassing Don Shula. How high that would be up on his list, I don't know. But
okay. Anyway, I just want to bring it up. Aaron is hoping Grant comes back. I thought there might be a chance for him. I'm not sure where he is on the predictions, but that would be a great deal there. He hasn't declared. Another thing, Danny, I wanted to jump out on. Rich Rod piped out that it was the biggest mistake he ever made coming to Michigan. Well, I got a comment to that, Rich Rod. Bill Martin destroyed our program, and that's the biggest mistake Michigan ever made by hiring you. Okay, so I just want to throw that out. He says it was a mistake to take the job. Well, it was a bigger mistake for this clown to destroy our program, and that we hired him. And that's my thoughts on him.
I love it. I would love to see Kenneth Grant come back. I think that's wishful thinking. I think that's 99% that he is going towards the NFL. That's how I feel about it. I mean, he's going to be, if he's not going to be a first-round pick, he's going to be up there pretty high. So I would say he's gone, but you never know with Joe Lynn and how important she thinks the defensive tackle position is or defensive line position. Scar, while you're going over it, Michigan did bring in a new offensive coordinator in Chip Lindsey. What did you make of that hire?
Let me say this about the position of offensive coordinator, Danny. I think it's just like anybody bringing in a chef at a restaurant or whatever. You own the restaurant. What are you going to let the guy do? Is he going to change the menu? Listen, we've won 3 championships with a structure offensively, and Sherrone Moore was right in on the ground floor. He saw it develop. He saw it work. He got the job. He said, we're not changing nothing. Smash, right? The same. He talked about all the same stuff. He believes in everything. It ain't broke, don't fix it, which was music to my ears. Okay. So you bring a guy, you ran the same stuff last year. You had below average quarterback, running back, and receiver play, in my opinion. Okay. So we get rid of the offensive coordinator. So now you're going to bring another guy in. And I looked at his resume. It looks good. I like guys that coached high school football. He's worked at a lot of different levels. I looked to try to get an idea, Denny, of what the hell are we going to run? What are we going to do? If I'm coaching at Oklahoma, what am I going to see from Michigan's offense? Because I've been this guy in this position. You try to do your homework and figure out what the hell is Michigan going to run because they have a new offensive coordinator. Well, here's what I did. This is the homework I did. Okay, I looked at obviously we look at North Carolina. What did he run at North Carolina? Well, it's real similar to a lot of our stuff, but they didn't go under center much. They didn't run with 3 tight ends much, but the RPO stuff, it's pretty damn similar to a lot of the stuff we run. Inside zone, gap stuff. Okay, but whose offense was that? Was that Mac Brown's? Or was it our boy Chip? Okay, so we don't know. We don't know the answer to that question. The next thing I did was, okay, let's go look at when he was the head coach at Troy. Because now he's the guy, that's his offense. That's what so if I'm at Oklahoma, I might look at some stuff at Troy because that's his decision. That's his team. That's what you might see. So I looked at Troy. And I didn't see many. I saw some one tight end stuff. I very similar stuff to a lot of the stuff we run. Not much, no under center stuff, no 3 tight end stuff. Okay, so I've looked at those 2 things, and I think our listeners should look at those things. But the biggest question, Denny, is when he sat down with Sharon Moore says, look, man, this is what I believe in. I believe in being under center at times. I believe in 3 tight ends at times. I believe in 7 offensive linemen at times. And can you and I and Big Grant and Kasulu and what the hell's the running back coach?
For Michigan?
Yeah, what's his name? Anyway, they're in the damn staff meeting room.
Tony Alford.
Okay, those guys are all going to be in, and Sharon will be there because he's an offensive guy. So they're all going to be in that room, and they're going to look around, and they're going to, and Sharon's going to say, look, I don't believe in changing a whole hell of a lot here. We're going to tweak a few things. Maybe you can add a couple things to what the hell we do. But that's the biggest question that Oklahoma has to figure out. How much is this guy going to change? Do I have to prepare for quarterback under center, 3 tight ends? Do I have to prepare for that stuff? So the Michigan fans want to know, what the hell are we going to see? Right. So, that's kind of where I'm at, Danny. But I do believe that at the end of the day, Sharon Moore is going to approve of everything we run is going to be the Sharon Moore offense. So I don't know that, Danny, look, man, I think but maybe I shouldn't say it like that, because I think every head coach might have a different amount of authority and delegation that they might give. You follow me?
Sure.
Like when I was a head coach, we talked about everything. Nothing within. No player formation went in without my approval. Never. No play formation. Nothing went in without my approval. So I don't know where Sharon Moore is on that. Is how much authority, delegation are you going to give the guy? Now, it looks like he scored points. He scored a lot of points with Drake May. But then he got fired without Drake May. So, that's what. Jerry was telling me, yeah, he scored a lot of points. I said, yeah, with Drake May, he scored a lot of points, but what did he score when Drake May was gone? But he does believe in running the quarterback. I saw quite a bit of that on film, but I would encourage our listeners to go look at North Carolina, look at Troy when he was at Troy, the 3 years he was at Troy. But, reading about the guy, he was a head coach. He has they complimented his ability to bring everybody into the staff meeting room together and unify them. You want your offensive coordinator, you got to be a unifier. You get Alfred's take, you get Big Grant's take, you get Casulo, you get a plan. You make them feel. You got to make your coaches feel like they're part of it at times, and you're just not delegating everything. That was my philosophy. So that's what I heard about him, Denny, and. We'll find out in the spring, and we'll see if what kind of changes there are. But if you want my prediction, Denny, you ain't going to see a damn thing change. You're going to see tight ends. We're going to be under center on the 1 yard line, and that's what we're going to see. Okay, and because Sharon Moore was there when we won 3 championships with the system. Okay, so that's my take. The tight ends are in. They ain't going in the portal, right? Are the tight ends going in the portal? Well, that tells you we ain't changing nothing, because they sat down and they said, what's going on with the offense? I said, and somebody told them, hey, tight ends, ain't nothing changing.
Jim Scarcelli, the former Wolverine, obviously he has come prepared, ready to play. This is just the first half of the show. Still ahead, we will look at that bowl game against Alabama. Scar says he has some tape. I do want to remind everybody this holiday season that if you're looking for a great gift for the Michigan fan in your life, maybe like yourself, why not give yourself the present of the Maize and Blue Review? Talk about opening up a present that you're sure to love. All Michigan talk, all day, all night. Join the Maize and Blue and get instant access today by going to michigan.rivals.com. Now that is a gift we can all get behind. Now, Scar, before we talk about Alabama, there's a few people that have thrown some questions up here and I want you to answer them. They can be rapid fire up here. Let's see. The Jadyn Davis question from Santino. He's asking about Jadyn Davis, and he follows it up with why don't they just start Jadyn Davis for the bowl game? Go ahead. Give us.
Man, that's just those guys are all playing. They want to win that football game, and obviously the coaches don't think he's ready. That's really that's like scrimmage, total scrimmage mode, and just pissing on the chance to win that game. You got this guy that we just beat Ohio State with him. I don't agree with that. I think you all those players that are going to fight their ass off to beat Alabama, they want the best opportunity to win. So. Hey, look, Jadyn Davis he's only a freshman. Let's see how he improves this spring. We'll see the spring game, and we'll see how he does, man. I mean, every time I saw the kid, he looked like an accurate passer. Then a couple other things about the offensive coordinator.
Okay,
he's from the Gus Malzahn tree, which is good, but Gus Malzahn was ahead of the curve on so much of the new technology and some of the stuff that. The jets, the motion away, the quarterback runs, but people have caught up and they figured out a lot of the stuff Gus was doing, but it was real, it was new at the time. Let me just say this about the Alabama game also, Danny, before we get into the film. It looks like our starters are going to be Percy at left tackle. It looks like Hinton is getting in the portal too, right? Or not in the portal. He's going to he's all done though, right? Because I saw one, I think it was on our website that they had Percy as the starter.
Yeah, he hasn't made that official, but
okay. So anyway, we're going to have a new left tackle. We'll have the rest of the offensive line will be intact. But here's where the big thing is that running back. We're gonna have Ben Hall. The kid's probably played 15 snaps all year, and Marshall is probably going to be the second one. He returned a couple kicks. Maybe carried the ball a few times. So the running back position is huge. I think we're going to see Sprague worked in at tackle too. That's my prediction. You're going to see him worked in at offensive tackle, Sprague. The guy that works in at offensive tackle, Denny, that's the guy that they think is going to start next year. Okay? That's what I would do if I'm coaching.
Yeah.
So they let Gentry leave. So the guy that they think is going to start, that's the guy that they would probably work in. Let me say this about defense. We talked about the inside guys. Is Kenny Grant going to play? I don't know, but that's where I'm going to be really looking is Etta, Pierce, Ike. Those guys are going to get a chance because, Benny's going to start. Benny's going to play his last game or maybe another. We don't know if he's coming back at all, but Eto, Pierce, or Ike, one of those guys are going to start, and the other two are going to play a hell of a lot. Okay? But he also what Wink does, sometimes, Denny, what he's able to do, he might play three edge guys with Brandt in there. If it's a way to kind of get your best 11 on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He might put Brandt in there. I think we're going to see the Nichols kid. I'm looking forward to watching Nichols play. And play possibly with some three edge guys. I also think, and I saw this kid when I went to practice, this David Palapali. They got him at 6'2", 335. This kid is a straight up tank, man. He's not the tallest kid, but he's a wide body. And you ain't moving this dude. I'm hoping he gets some reps and maybe the big Manuel Beagle kid. So there's going to be a lot of defensive linemen. Not so much at the linebacker position. The defensive linemen, more than any position group on our defense, is where you're going to see guys getting reps, and let's hope they can hold up against Alabama, man.
I like your enthusiasm about the ReliaQuest Bowl. I think there's a lot of things going on with Michigan fans, and a lot of what's going on with them is they look at that bowl and they're like, we're going to get beat, so it doesn't mean anything, and it's not that big of a deal. Let's just move on. It's a glorified scrimmage. And I think there's some truth to all those things. I think over the last couple of years, Michigan has played for the national championship. They made the college football playoff. So no matter what, this was going to be a drop-off, this bowl game. And now that you have a 12-team playoff, it's really the 12-team playoff and everyone else. And because Alabama was the last one left off, and they're going to be motivated because Michigan beat them last year, Michigan's up against a lot. I know that you could say that you don't care if they win or lose. The trajectory of bowl games, if you're not in the college football playoff, it's not the same as it used to be. Now, having said all of that, Scar, I went to back when it was the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. Michigan was playing Tennessee and Jason Witten, and Casey Clausen was the quarterback. And that was no national championship game or college football game, but there's worse things than going down and that was on New Year's Day. There's worse things than spending New Year's Eve in Tampa. Oh, you got Michigan as a noon game and go out in the greater Tampa area. And then the next day you got college football. I mean, that's the one thing. If Michigan was playing in New York and you had to go spend $100, for a sandwich in Christmas time in New York City, and then go freeze your ass off watching, Michigan in Yankee Stadium, that wouldn't be very attractive to me. But, the destination of Tampa and seeing the maize and blue, and a lot of that you were talking about, Polly and Jordan Marshall, and who's going to be that third tackle. There's just some exciting things. Maybe Jadyn Davis gets in for a couple snaps. I mean, that's all.
Danny, I could just say this: the guys that are going to go on the field for Michigan, they're going to play their ass off. They're going to play with everything they got. They're not going to embarrass their university, their teammates, their coaches. They're going to play with everything they got. So whoever says that it doesn't matter or they don't care or whatever, that ain't happening with the players.
Right.
Okay. Now, hopefully they go down and have a good time too. That's part of a bowl game, is to have some fun. And speaking of having fun, I'm going to tell you something that pisses me off is this playoff deal. These 12 teams, right?
Playoff, yeah.
So Indiana, just take Indiana for example. Indiana goes 11-1. Okay, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, they would have gone to a real nice bowl game, right? They would have been 11-1 football team. They'd have been down in California, Florida, getting nice gifts, having a great time, having a great bowl game. You know what they get now? Notre Dame. They play at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is going to charge.
Friday night.
Yeah, they're going to charge $700 a ticket. I saw they're getting 100,000 people. They're going to make over $50 million. And you know what Indiana players get? They get to go play it on a Friday night in 28-degree weather. Okay, if they lose the game, they're done. No bowl game, no nothing, and they get nothing. So that just pisses me off as a former player that you got an 11-1 team, and you don't get to go down south in a bowl game and have a good time and go to Disneyland and look at the pretty girls. No, you're going to play freaking South Bend, Indiana, where it's going to be 30 degrees Friday night.
Counter. If I was a player, sure, going to hang out in Southern California for a week is great, and put my arm around, Minnie Mouse or whatever else, and get some, pictures and eat at a steakhouse. I want to play for a national championship. Indiana has a chance to play for a national championship, and they're playing the big bad Irish in their state for the first time out. I would trade all that warm weather and all the side pieces that whatever else you're getting during the bowl week for a chance to play at Notre Dame Stadium in a college football playoff on Friday, the first game ever in a 12-team playoff.
I hear you. Okay, I get you. I'm just saying that's not a big gift going to play in South Bend. Here's what else is going on, Denny. You got the backup quarterback at Penn State, who's they have a big package with him. I don't know the kid's name, but he runs the ball. You know who I'm talking about, the Penn State backup quarterback. Guess what? He said, screw you, man. I'm going in the portal. He don't want no part of that playoff. I'm going in the portal. I thought that was interesting. Okay, this kid is like, screw you. I'm going in the portal. I'm a backup at Penn State. I got to make the move now. I got to leave before the end of the semester. I can't be committing 3-4 games, playing into January because of whatever. I thought that was interesting, and just want to bring that up.
Well, I think it's interesting too. What's interesting about it is that, for me, if I'm the backup quarterback, why not, commit and play in there, and you can back channel, you can have your agent, get you in the position to Bo Prabula is his name.
And you got to be in the portal now. The coaches are signing guys now. They wait till January, he's done.
But Scar, can't you, if you're my agent, can't you contact, I don't know, Michigan and say, look, yeah, we're in the college football playoff, but can we get this deal done before he goes into the portal? Can't we? Or
well, he has to be in school second semester. He can't be screwing around with these 4 games and play, all that. He got to be in school. He got to be committed. They got to have the money right. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, I didn't know about the school part. That's an interesting one.
That's why we got screwed last year, man. We're playing January 15th. Everybody's got their quarterback signed, man. We're still playing. So those 12 teams, in a way, are penalized. They're penalized with some of your solid backups that are like, screw it. I'm going in the portal. It's more important to me than being a backup on this team that has to win 4 games to win a national championship.
I hear you. I know Michigan had a guy go in the portal and then still played in the national championship game. I forgot who it was. It was a tight end, but he was out there. But it's a little different with a quarterback. And yeah, if it's school and if you have to commit, if it's I thought maybe you could do both. If you're Prabula, have your agent, cutting you a deal.
No, you can't. You got to make a decision. You got to be in or out, and then you got to be able to have time to go visit some schools and let these guys, who wants you. Danny, I want to bring up some other things before we get into the film that I just want to point out. I looked at our Michigan-Ohio State game, and this, because I looked at our defense, this football game, and it was. Because I know it was the same thing when I played. You work on this game 365 days a year. We defended them so well because I think of all the things that I hear our players talk about, the Ohio drill, their best football plays, we took them and we stuffed them up their ass. Because our guys were seeing them all the time. They saw them in spring football. They saw them in fall camp. They see them during the week. Even when we're playing Arkansas State, they're seeing Ohio State's best stuff. So I don't think people understand that. Like, how do we keep these guys to 10 points? You keep them to 10 points because our coaches understand it. Our players were seeing it year round. You take away their best stuff. Bo Schembechler did that in 1969 when he got the job. Same philosophy. Your defense has to see their best stuff. So that game wasn't just won on that Saturday. It was a 365-day commitment. So I want to give Sharon Moore and our coaches, because that's my opinion about why we were able to keep that team to 10 freaking points.
Yeah, well, they get all of the credit for the way they coached. It was a great job. I mean, like you'd have asked me after the Indiana game, I thought it was the worst job that I'd ever seen any Michigan coach do. Almost just a terrible job all over the place, but then they beat Northwestern, they beat Ohio State. They turned things around pretty good. Still wasn't a great team.
Yeah, Danny, that's a good point. And here's the thing I know as a coach also that, we have 12 football games. Okay, obviously the Ohio State game is the most important game on our schedule. Okay, so you gear your program to beat them. Okay, but at the same time, you have to have a scheme, and this is one of the great things that our McDonald and Minter, we could stop Iowa. We could stop the Marylands. We could stop the different people that you have to be able to have a defensive system that stops Oregon. What the hell they run? They ain't like playing Ohio State. Similar, you got to stop Iowa, the stuff that they want to run with 2 tight ends. You got to stop all the different schemes, and you have to have a defensive system that does that. So, yeah, you're making the point that, yeah, we beat Ohio State, but I totally agree with you. And that's one of the challenges as a coach is you have to, your offense and defensive scheme system has to be able to move the ball against every type of defensive front, and you got to be able to stop every type of offense that you're going to see in the Big Ten. So, yeah, we won that game because we emphasize it, but at the same time, well, you got to find time for Michigan, see these other guys too.
What about this question from Antoine? Antoine has been saying this for years, that he doesn't want to play any teams in the non-conference with a pulse. Here he is again saying that you don't want to schedule hard games if you're Michigan because they already play the difficult games. Now, Alabama, once they didn't make it into the playoffs, their athletic director was crying about, well, you just better watch what our schedules are going to be in the future. Well, they didn't really play. They played at Wisconsin, which wasn't really good, but he should have said, look, we beat a lot of good teams. It had nothing to do. But, you do have to get up. I mean, here's the question to you. if Michigan had a chance right now to pull the plug on this Oklahoma, they got to play Oklahoma for the next 2 years there. And then they're coming in 26. They got to play at Texas in 27. They got Notre Dame in 2033. Should they just scratch all those games? If Antoine,
Denny, I'm gonna give you my opinion from a former player's perspective.
Okay. All right.
And also from a former high school coach's perspective. I was there when we played Notre Dame, and those were big games. Those were great games to play in. We played. My first start was against Miami of Florida. They were the #1 team in the country. That was a great experience to play the #1 team in the country. Big game. We weren't playing Northern Illinois. We were playing in Miami. We went to South Carolina. They were the #3 ranked team in the country. So back in my day, we didn't have lamb chops. There were no lamb chops non-conference games. And I think those games it's good to have, it's good to play somebody tough. Now, if as a high school coach, what I found also, though, is, and I think these college coaches I think if I'm at Michigan, I want the same thing. I think it's good to have Arkansas State and, Fresno or UNLV. I think it's good to have 2 of those games because you can clear your bench and you can develop depth. And you can figure out what the hell you got. You get guys in the game. So I would do it, Antoine, if I was the guy running things, if I was in charge, I would want one tough Oklahoma, Texas. Let's go to Notre Dame. I think it's good for the players to go and play one, blue blood, see a different stadium. So one game is good. It lets you find out what the hell you got. Bo always said that about playing Notre Dame. Playing them early, I knew exactly what the hell I had with my football team. But at the same time, I like the 2 lamb chops to play the young guys and develop depth. Figure out what the hell you got. You got to get those kids in the game and to develop depth because you're not going to be able to do that against Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. The super easy games, they're so all games that Michigan play are interesting and entertaining, but there's something different than you're playing Texas or Oklahoma and then you're playing a bunch of easy teams. I know there's a lot of people that agree with Antoine, but you know what, Antoine? People that buy the tickets, they want to see Notre Dame. They don't want to see.
Yeah, I'm just saying as a player too. I bet if you took a poll with the Michigan players, would you rather have 3 lamb chops or 2 and then 1, blue blood? I think you'd get a majority that want to have that one tough game.
Yeah,
nobody challenge themselves. Anyway. Let me just say this too, Denny. I got it on my notes here about how does a guy? You're probably wondering how does a guy at Cal Poly? How does a guy that Michigan's recruiting a kid at Cal Poly, right?
Cal Poly? Okay.
Yeah, I think we've got a big offensive lineman from Cal Poly. You got some of these guys at these smaller schools. I just know this as a former coach. I had a kid one time. D'Antonio looked at him. He liked him, but he saw one red flag. I'm not going to tell you about what but if they see, the kid was 6'5", 300-pound, big, tough, athletic kid. But the big guys don't mess around if they see one thing they think is a red flag. You follow me? And so the kid ended up going to another school. But that's the thing, how you sometimes see these kids. Oh, so Ohio State offered this kid. So I'd like to know how the hell he ended up at Cal Poly. Somebody overlooked something. Maybe he wasn't tall enough. He didn't show the athleticism. Maybe he had grades. I doubt it. Cal Poly is a good school. But for whatever reason, he ended up over there. He probably had that, there was one red flag that he didn't have the measurables or something. And then he puts the pads on. He's a monster. So that's how that happens. Because I saw it as a high school coach. They see that one thing and the big boys say, I ain't taking a chance. Let Western Michigan take a chance on that kid.
Good stuff. Before we watch the film, when you played South Carolina, was George Rogers? Was that
he was there before. That was right. I remember watching that game though. That was when I was a senior in high school. No, we went there my 5th year. Okay. That was the loudest freaking stadium. I'll tell you about that game one day, but we beat them, Denny. It was so damn loud. The first play of the game, Thomas Wilcher runs a football, and their linebacker just drills him and knocks his helmet off. The crowd goes nuts. It was freaking nuts. It was loud, loud, loud. After that play, Denny, it was all Michigan. We hammered them. Not long after, that crowd was quiet, and they were. I think we beat them like 35-3 or something. 1985. Check it out.
You know, it's interesting. I wish they had some film of that, because wasn't it old? Remember it was Michigan and South Carolina when that defensive end slapped Michigan's guy's helmet.
Yeah, we didn't block him. We didn't cut him off. We let that kid come off the edge, and we didn't block him. Right. I remember that play. Yeah, in the bowl game.
Yeah, they showed that one for years, and they should have gone back and said, "Hey, Michigan did it back in the day." All right, so we got a little film here from Scar, and that's brought to you by Quick Cut Video and Analytics, your place to store, share, and analyze film.
Okay, they went to LSU, who's a damn good team, and they just beat the hell out of them. Okay,
all right,
and they got Alabama's got big offensive linemen. They got great players, man. But they lose contain here. But Denny, if I had to bet, I don't think Milroe's going to play.
He said he was going to play.
That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. If I was coaching that kid, I would tell him to say the same damn thing. But anyway, you got to contain here this kid. But here's why I don't think they got him like the 5th best quarterback, in the draft. Why would this kid play? But the second reason I don't think he's going to play.
He wants to be a number 1 quarterback because he wants to be the one. Because
you know what? You know why I think he's not going to play, Denny?
Go ahead.
When this game came out, the line was 13.5. Mm-hmm. And then something happened, and I don't know what, but somebody down in Tuscaloosa knows something. Then it went to 10. It went from 13.5 to 10 in one day. Okay, I don't think this kid's going to play. Anyway, here's empty, and I'll show you the kid I think we might see. But this number 1 is something we got to get a handle on him. They got freak receivers out here. They got big play receivers. They beat us. They beat LSU. The game I would be looking at, Denny, I think if I'm Michigan, I'm looking at the Washington game from last year a little bit, because that's how did he attack our defense? You know what I mean? Did he see our type of defense in the SEC? This tight end is tough. I remember watching him last year. This 45 is a good player. He's about a 280-pound kid, and he can block. And these are good players, man. Like I say, LSU ain't got no little guys, and this 45 is. But like I said, I feel good with Moore playing and TJ Guy. But Denny, listen, regardless of the quarterback, and I'll bet you a hamburger right now that Milroe doesn't play. I don't think he's going to play.
What could have happened is, so the idea about you playing would be that you think that you could be the number 1 quarterback picked. If you look at a site like Pro Football Focus, they think he's the best quarterback out of them. So somebody could have got to him and said, "Look, you don't have anything left to prove. You can go out there. We'll take you in the top 10." So maybe that was the news. Maybe he came out and said, "Look, I'll compete. I don't care." And somebody got to him and said, "Look, you're going to be in the top 10. Don't go anywhere."
Yeah, I don't. Okay, we'll see what happens. But either way, Denny, they've recruited great offensive linemen. Look what they do to this 3 technique here. Is he a 5? Watch what they do to this kid. I mean, that's just, I don't care who is in the backfield. If they want to hand the ball off, you still got to deal with this 74. This kid was the number 1, this big tackle, 74 here. Mm-hmm. He was at Iowa for a minute. I mean, look at what they're doing to this kid. I know the play is the quarterback run, but quarterback follow, but you still got to deal with this great offensive line. And the reason they lost to Vanderbilt, Danny, that was about defensive scheme. I watched that game, and it was about the Vanderbilt coach was doing some things offensively that they just totally had the Alabama defense confused. And that guy at Vanderbilt, this kid right here, Michigan quarterback, Sheridan. You know that, right?
I knew his dad.
Well, I know his dad well. His dad was a GA when I played, but Nick is he's done well. But he played for Rich Rod, so he's doing a good job as a coach, and happy for all the Michigan guys. But anyway, looking at this football team, I bet the running back doesn't play, Denny, because he's in the portal.
Justice Haynes.
I bet you he doesn't play. I bet the quarterback doesn't play. It's going to be the same thing as the fact that we have our quarterback can be an advantage. I don't know what Alabama's doing here on defense, but they don't adjust very well. I heard that he wasn't real happy with his defensive coordinator, the guy at Alabama. That was so maybe he might be, but this is definitely something. If we can get them misaligned like this, they got nothing. They got easy down blocks, and LSU just blocks it. That's too easy. That's about scheme and adjustments. But right. I don't think we're going to see the running back. I don't think we're going to see the quarterback. 3rd and goal. Alabama's got they're a lot similar to us. 2 edge guys, 2 inside guys, stand-up edge guys, 2 stand-up edge guys. 2 inside guys with their hand down. So, defensively, athletes, we'll look at some of this stuff because it's the same guy that was at Washington.
There's Ben.
Yeah. So much offense is QB run. That's why, Denny, if you're preparing for this team, like if I'm Wink Martindale, he has to try to figure out. And he would have looked at all the film of the backup kid who got in at some of their blowouts when they play Mercer or whoever the hell they play, like before Auburn.
Yeah.
He would have looked at that kid and figure out what do they run when that kid was in the game. But because so much of their damn offense is quarterback run. And you hate to spend a lot of time on defending this stuff when you're not going to see it because Miller ain't going to play.
Yeah. For people that are tuning in, that's Scar's speculation. He has said that he is going to play. So,
but Denny, what Sun Tzu, man, all warfare is based on deception, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, you don't really have to.
Why would you tell the truth? I would do exactly what the Alabama coach is doing.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
we got to stop this. This is the number one thing we got to stop. This is the number one play you got to stop. You just can't let him, because we're going to see if we see the other kid, you sure as hell can't let him hand the ball off. I mean, this is short yardage, but they got, we got to play with great technique. Danny, I talk about these dudes right here. I talk about how Scar likes to bet early in the game, right, based on line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be looking at these 2 dudes right here. I'm going to be looking at Pierce. I'm going to be looking at Inoetta. And I'm going to be looking at Benny. And I want to know how we're matching up. Are we playing technique? Are we playing low? Are we getting knocked off the ball like that LSU kid? So I talked about Wink maybe studying because, the head coach was at Washington. What did he do to attack Michigan's defense with our scheme? So yeah, I know it's a different players, but those are things coaches look at is how does he attack my scheme? Even though it's different players, here's screen. We've struggled with screen to the weak side. So, but again, that kid gets a lot of touches, that running back. Hopefully we can get him, man. That would be great if we can get this kid, Justice Haynes.
Yeah, Michigan and Ohio State. I think it's.
Yeah, he's. I wonder. He wants to go. I don't know if he's just. They couldn't negotiate. They got something better coming in. Here's a unique formation, and you got to adjust to. Here's 2 tight ends. Oh, we haven't seen this formation. Anyway, something that Wink is looking at. How does LSU adjust? They run power. LSU adjusted pretty good there, but I don't think they stopped them. But their adjustment is good. But it's a unique formation. It's a power play. They're just blocking down. blocking down, kicking out. Yeah, that's just power with guys in different positions. Anyway, it's one of those plays you look at. It's like, okay, we've never seen that play all year. We got to adjust to it. This kid right here, Denny, we need Joe Lynn to make the call. Right?
Hey, yes.
Take him down. You know, hey, Denny, back in my day, they took you over to Pizza Bob's and got you a big pizza.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to work with this dude.
No.
Me and Jerry, we got a little visit to Rick's or Dooley's.
Yeah, Jolin's coming with a little bit more. There
we had nickel beers, man. These guys are getting the bag, man. You know, I was down in LSU a couple years back. It was like summertime or maybe I forget what time of year it was, but it was no sports going on. They got this tiger in this cage, like right on campus. And he's just sitting there, and I thought it was I didn't think it was real cool. He's in a cage.
It looks like he needs a little more room than what they got him in there.
Denny, this is the dude I think we're going to see. Okay? This guy, he gets in at the end of the game. They're up 35-6. But he doesn't do nothing but hand the ball off. But he ain't Jalen Milroe. Okay? So that's what you're going to see. I think we're going to see this kid. That takes a whole hell of a lot of their offense out of the playbook. But find out who the hell 15 is. I didn't even look him up. That's who we're going to see. This guy right here, because they already lost a transfer. One of their guys transferred, so that's where I think we're at. Danny, that's all I got. I just want to give you a little taste. I don't want to beat it up. Trying to figure out what these guys are going to do.
Yeah, I'll reset two things. One is going to be on Milroe. Scar's opinion is that he's not going to play, and the reason that he would do that is he would feel pretty good about where he's going to get picked in the NFL draft, like being a first-round pick. Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, Nussmeier. These are like the four names. There's not, you want to put Quinn Ewers in there. It's not I don't, those, if you told me that just two of them would be first-round picks or maybe even one, I would think there'd be two or three of them. So you could think why Milroe, who's rated as the number one quarterback on Pro Football Focus, would, if he feels secure that he could be a first-round pick, that's why he wouldn't play. Why he might want to is that he thinks that he could be the first quarterback taken. Over...
I don't. If I'm his agent, they got the kid started like 24 games. How much film you need, man? You don't need no more film. I'm looking at Jake Butt. Man, if I represent that kid, now we're good. We're shutting it down. You gave Alabama everything you had, and we're good here. That's what I think.
I get that. I think Shedeur is playing, isn't he?
Yeah, Prime said he's going to play, man. So that's his deal, and so.
I think those guys should get Milroe. For instance, he should get an insurance policy. I mean, I know Jake Butt had one, but to get these guys to play in these bowl games, money talks, insurance policies talk. I'll get these guys hooked up. I'm a big bag, but
yeah, well,
if you're Alabama in Milroe, you would rather have that number 15. You'd like to see somebody who's playing for the future. If I'm an Alabama fan, it's like you like Milroe, but if he's not coming back, you don't want him to play.
Yeah, you don't want that's where it is. That's where we are with these bowl games. I mean, there's a lot of good in it. There's a lot of good in it. If I'm Michigan's head coach, the fact that Kenny Grant or Mason Graham, those guys aren't going to play because you're giving reps to other guys, and that's going to we got to go to Oklahoma game too, man. So these reps against Alabama will be huge when we go to Oklahoma next year. They're going to get some questions answered like. Can one of them guys are going to start the football game? Pierce, Etta, can they line up against Alabama? Because that's what we're going to see next year. So yeah, I didn't like seeing that Washington State kid Denny going in the portal. He's damn good. Mateer, and then as soon as I saw their coordinator that Oklahoma hired him, I said, "Oh man, we can't get a break." And I wanted that kid too.
And Oklahoma lost their 5-star quarterback that they had committed.
Yeah,
So,
well, their coach probably felt. Listen, this stuff isn't. It probably didn't happen just within the last week or so. They had a plan. That coach had a plan. He knew he could probably get that kid a month ago. You know, he probably knows the offensive coordinator, and this stuff was all in the works. He's like, you know what? I'd rather have that kid at Washington State than the kid I have on my roster right now. That I guarantee you, that's how that played out. He didn't just, oh, okay, let's what's going on? Oh, this guy's leaving. Oh, okay, well, this guy's all of a sudden in the portal. No, this stuff is all in the works, man. I think
you're right. Great job, Scar.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to?
No, man, we're these kids are going to play hard, and but that's the big thing, Denny. The 3-point overnight change in the point spread that told me somebody found out something down in Tuscaloosa. The bookies ain't dumb. They got snipers all over campuses to get information. You got to have that information, but it's all good, Denny. Go blue.
There he is, Scar, bringing it on this Monday.